That's the start riff of Shoot to Thrill, and we start with an A power chord, also known as an A5, where we just bar our first finger at the 2nd fret of the 4th and 3rd string, and we strum or pick string 5, 4 and 3 together, and then it's the middle finger on the 5th string, 3rd fret, to the 3rd finger at 4th fret, back to the A power chord. Nice and simple intro, it's fairly fast. Everything with a down pick, and that's totally fine. And then we get on to what is initially the Malcolm part, where we have this little riff for the intro and verses. Starting off with the rock G, which is a all fingers G as I call it, without the first finger down, and we need to mute this one, the string 5, with the underside of your middle finger, which would sound like this. Then we go to a D power chord, and that would essentially, just to clarify, I'll make this a G power chord because we've not got that major 3rd. It just tidies it up a bit with the overdrive. And then to a D power chord, so a normal D but not playing string 1, so just string 2, 3 and 4, and just the chords. So we go from one to the other, 4 times in total, but G, D, G, D. The D one final time, little finger at 4th fret of the 5th string, little bit of a stretch, but it needs to be the little finger to the A power chord. So that move from the D needs a little bit of practice on its own. And just to recap so far, 3, 4. So fairly straightforward, but there's a really cool picking technique that we're going to cover now, which is so fundamental to Malcolm Young's playing and ACDC in general. So the chord hand and strumming generally remains the same. That's the simple pattern, but we're going to add this in between, which is essentially just 8th strumming, all downs, with the right hand at all times. But that is going to create this, which is the proper way to do it, and the simplified way. And what all this right hand's doing, if I just stayed on the G for example, is strumming and then doing 2 heavily palm muted percussive hits, essentially. Now this is great for keeping the time in, but is also just a fundamental part of AC/DC's rhythm sound. And it's generally in a pattern of 1, 2, 3, so strum, mute, mute. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's strummed and then totally muted, so I'm not palm muting here too. I'm not getting this sound. It is a hit, and we're silencing the strings totally and just hearing the string sound. Just hearing the hit. And then this rhythm would become... From this angle, just so you can see the hand lift. And that takes us through the intro and the verses until we get to the I'm gonna take you down, which is a C power chord. could play it like this, which is slightly easier. We need the C power chord to the G5, back to the C power chord, so 3rd fret, 5th string, and that goes over the lyrics. I'm gonna take you down. Same again. Down, down, down. Then it is D, 1st finger A, D. And it's a D5 again, so anytime I say a D in this, we're never really playing the thinnest string. So don't you fool around. So that again, just looking at the strings I'm playing as well. So don't you fool around. Recap so far of the older bridge. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna take you down. Down, down, down. To the D to A. So don't you fool around. And then we have this really cool chord called an E7 sharp 9. Which I totally think is like the Jimi Hendrix chord. And this is the open E string, middle finger at 7th fret, which is also an E, 1st finger at the 6th fret of the 4th string, 3rd finger to make this dominant 7th shape, so these on their own are an E7, and then the little finger goes on the next fret on the next string, so 8th fret, 2nd string. And we don't play the thinnest string, so in total, such a cool chord. And we have this rhythm. And it's in a pattern of 3, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I do think it's best to relax the fingers. How many times do we have that? I'm gonna pull it, pull the trigger. I think that's 6, and then we're on to the chorus. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 in total, 5 in total. And that's after the D to A, so don't you fool around. I'm gonna pull the trigger. And then we're to the chorus, where we're back to open chords. And we have the A power chord again. Shoot to thrill, G5, play to kill, D. Again a D without the thinnest string. Too many women and too many bills, I said. Shoot to thrill, play to kill. I got my gun at the ready, gonna fire it well. And with the strumming hand, if you can get all the rhythms to the rest of it, it's a fairly obvious rhythm, but 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 2, 3 and 4 and. And the important, I think the hardest thing to get for people, rather than just the strumming, will be that push at the start of the beat. So it's 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 2, 3, 4 and 2, 3, 4 and. It's on the and of 4 on the last and of the bar, rather than on beat 1 for the chorus. Really important, and that's called a push. It gives it a lot more excitement. It's only the first A that is actually on the beat. So we would have chorus in total. 1, 2, 3, 4. Shoot to thrill, play to kill. Too many women, too many bills. I said 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4. After the chorus, back to the intro again, no repetition of that intro riff, and then back to the verse again. Okay, solo section. So after that second chorus, which rings out on the D, pull the trigger. It's a repetition of that same chord that we learnt at the end of the bridge or the end of the pre-chorus. And then to begin the solo section, it's just the third and little finger stay down exactly where they are. And we're also going to play the open D string, which makes kind of like a G chord. And then the little finger moves in. Like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. All very similar to very similar rhythm and a very similar part. So that again, third and little finger. 7th fret and then 8th fret, moving into both at 7th fret. And then A minor pentatonic scale. Standard little bluesy ending. A little bend down there on the first finger. That happens 4 times, and then we're on to some higher bending. So here my third finger is at 15th fret, and we're doing what I commonly call a slash bend, but it's always used in so many classic rock players. And it's bending with the third finger at 15th fret on the second string, but supporting that bend with the middle and first finger on adjacent frets, so on the frets right next to it. Thumb over the top, fingers on an angle, moving that wrist up to get the bend, and then that little finger just hits the thinnest string at the same fret and doesn't bend at all. 1 and 2 and 3, and then this little lick. And it's quite quick. One more time. And I'd always do this one with a flick off to the first finger, because it's that quick. In context, 2, 3, 4. And then this exact same bend again. So that's probably, that flick off is the same again, exact same move that we've done a couple of times before, and we're going to be covering most in depth in How You're Gonna Go My Way. It's that flick off there. And then we just move everything 2 strings up and just do it once. And then we're back to the Hendrix chord. So solo in total. Solo in total. 1, 2, 3, 4. 7th and 8th frets. Skipping all the way up to 15th fret. Hendrix chord. And then back into the chorus, and after that we have a breakdown section, which does elongate this song an awful lot, but it sounds really cool, starting like this. Here we basically have a barred A chord, and we're always just playing strings 2, 3 and 4 I found this way more comfortable to do it just with my first 3 fingers, but the more proper way to do it, the more correct way to do it would be to set up with your middle and first finger on the 2nd and 3rd string, and then the thumb on the 4th string. And basically the finger stays down all the time, and you're muting ever so slightly by plucking and then going back under the string, so we get a ba 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 sound. And it's for 1 bar, so it's 8 picks. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that is a bar with the first finger at 14th fret on the 2nd, 3rd and 4th string. And then we move up by the 1 fret with the first finger. So we're at 15th and then 16th and 17th frets. Almost like an F major 7, but really high up the neck. So that's first finger, 2nd fret, 15th fret, 16th fret, and 17th fret. And then basically a D chord, but an octave higher, so 12 frets higher. And we're going to play the open D string. Again, not playing the thinnest string, so it would just become this or this. And that is for 2 bars. So in total, the A, the G chord essentially, and then the D chord. And in total, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And underneath that, we have this final rhythm part, which goes like this. The 3 chords in the chorus, but strummed very lightly. And then with this little riff in between them. That would be open, and then walking up to 4th fret. Again in a little rule of 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Finishing with the rhythm from A Long Way to the Top if you want to rock and roll. And then we'd basically be back into the chorus. Shoot you, shoot you, shoot you, shoot you down. Finishing on the D. And that is how to play Shoot to Thrill by ACDC. Really long lesson, so all the quick links to the different chapter sections are in the description. And check out these other ACDC tutorials that are on the screen now.